All right. Welcome, everyone. I hope that you can hear me. Thank you for joining my session at Scottish Summit 2021. I'm super glad to be here and share my thoughts together with you. Hopefully, it will be inspiring session. The track is Teams Deployment, and we talk during this track about different applications, how to set up teams, and so on. However, sometimes before we start acting, we should think twice about the applications and teams, how useful they might be for the end users. So my today's session, Design Thinking, Microsoft Designing, I'm going to show you how to prepare yourself and how to grab the best knowledge, the best user experience from the end users to make sure that the projects or applications you are going to deliver will be useful for them at the end. All right, so let's jump to the presentation. First of all, big thanks to our sponsors. Without them, we wouldn't be here. So ScriptRunner, Global, Proximo, Redspire, Agilysys, Hitachi Solutions. Thanks to them, we are here, we are able to connect. We all create community, no matter what is our role, if we're speakers, participants, organizers, or sponsors, we all are the big Microsoft community. And thanks to that, we can meet and share our knowledge together. All right, so a few words about myself. My name is Edyta Gorzon. I'm Polish, living in Warsaw. And on my daily work, I'm a consultant of Office 365 adoption and change management at Predica Group. Predica is a leading partner of Microsoft. We hire a lot of people, and my area is mostly adoption and change management projects we deliver together. Great stuff, I would say. Besides after work, but it's very related to my professional experience. I organize SharePoint Saturday Warsaw since 5 years. I co-host Adoption Change Management Teams Europe meetings every second Tuesday of every month. We are meeting together with different adoption specialists, and we are talking how to deploy this kind of projects better. I'm Microsoft MVP, Office Apps and Services. This is my area, and pro-site change management practitioner. So I have a knowledge and tools to lead the projects, adoption projects around Office 365 and Teams, of course. Today's agenda, we are going to have a few different topics, but all of them are synchronized. So first of all, we'll talk what is design thinking, because this session is about design thinking methods, how they can help you with adoption and change management projects, especially when we talk about teams. Then adoption change management teams journey overview to make sure that we understand what is that. Then where to use design thinking methods in adoption change management journey, so where these methods can be implemented, how to use design thinking in this project, what is the value behind, and at the end, you will have a chance to ask me questions. I will do my best to answer and share the best content as I can with you guys. All right, so let's start with the definition. What is design thinking? Just to be on the same page. So guys, please remember that this is a method of creating innovations. Actually, this method probably for many of you is already known. A lot of companies are using this, but the idea behind is just to get your team to thinking creatively, to understand what are the issues, find creative solutions at the end, solve the problems we listed, and of course, build these solutions to make it happen in the future, to have something that really address our problems. Design thinking might be used in different areas. Some companies, they're using design thinking for designing a new or existing product or service. The others, they design a new value added to the customer or to the user, depending on the company profile, designing a new customer experience or end user experience when we talk about similar projects like Office 365 implementation, but sometimes also for searching the new source of income or business model. So there are different ways how this method can be used depending on the business needs. And I'm going to prove, or at least show you, how this method helps me to understand the end users better and prepare applications based on themes that might be useful at the end in a whole process, including adoption, of course. What is important to understand in design thinking, we have 5 different stages. First stage, it's called Empathize. So let me just, so we are here. In this stage, we want to understand with whom we are working, what are the personas. We focus on the person to understand this person's motivation, experience, and actually what kind of problems they face every day at everyday work, but also to see what is this person's perspective. And after this first stage, we are moving to the second stage, which is called Define. In Define stage, we, together with the end users, we try to understand what are the current challenges and issues in daily work. So they have a chance to express themselves, to talk openly with us, what is missing, what should be redefined, and so on, to make sure that we understand what are these challenges, and to have a kind of base for creating the solutions in the next steps. Next step, ideate. So we are here. In this stage, we generate the ideas, as many as possible. So these ideas are to solve the problems we have listed before. It's a kind of brainstorming session, mind mapping session, where we look for ideas for the future solutions that can be built, for instance, in Microsoft Teams environment. Then we have prototype part. In this part, we start to build solutions. So when we grab already all the information from our end users, we start to create solution that will be implemented in the production in the future. And at the end, we are in test phase. So here, where the pilot solution is ready, we are able to test this solution in real life scenario. All right, let's jump to the next slide. So a few benefits from design thinking. Of course, there are many of them. However, from my experience, the most important ones are identifying the real problem. Thanks to that, thanks to this open conversation, we understand what are the real problems. We don't imagine the problems. We try to put the end user's shoes and see how they what kind of problems they are facing every day. So it's a kind of open discussion. People anyhow have a chance very often for the very first time to say what is missing, what should be improved, and so on. Leverages collaboration. In here, during the workshops, design thinking workshops, first of all, we ask people from different departments with the different positions, and they have a chance to talk together, to understand different perspectives, and also exchange opinions, brainstorming, and at the end, this cooperation in a whole team, it's very, very productive. And lower resistance. Probably you know that one of the biggest challenges in adoption and change management projects is resistant to change. And from my experience, I have proofs for that when you engage the end users in the whole process, they are naturally less resistant to change. They are kind of champions naturally to promote the new solutions that we prepared and we implemented, because they have an impression that, yeah, this is something what is seriously important for us, It's not a boss who just arrived and said that we are changing this process or we are implementing this application. This change comes from them naturally. All right. And the last slide, of course, design thinking I mentioned at the beginning. A lot of companies, they're using this method. You can see different big brands right now on this slide. So it's just kind of confirmation that big players, they already know this method, and it's great to think about how design thinking might be useful in your organization as well. All right, so let's move right now to more concrete stuff. First of all, we will have a look at adoption and change management journey with Office 365 projects. This is the journey, I would say, kind of classical representation how this adoption and change management projects look and what are the activities in the meantime. So the most important, at the beginning, we meet and organize. So we set up a project team, we discuss how to communicate, we discuss all of the meetings where we will exchange the content and so on. We define the roles, of course, so everything what is connected with this organization part, and then we start to act. So in this act part, mostly we recruit the champions who will drive the change in the future in our project. We make a communication plan with searching what kind of communication tools we can use, what kind of content will be valuable for the end users and so on. And of course, sponsors engagement. So in here, we engage sponsors, we define their role, and also highlight how sponsor role is super important in the whole process to make sure that sponsors are not only the people who pay for the project, but also those one who are communicating what is going on, what is the value behind, what are the benefits, and so on. Then we have defined the scenario, so analyzing and understand the company profile to make sure that we understand what this company is doing, defining the scenarios and selecting the most important ones, then make it real, so the true implementation is starting, building up a pilot solution, train the trainer workshop, preparing training materials, so everything what is related with the training part, and engage them all, training for the entire company via live events, via LMS platforms, depending on the customer, organizing Ask the Expert panels, so to be open and answer the questions, sharing tips and tricks and so on. And of course, at the end, we have general and final rollout. So these are the steps, more or less, which are a part of this kind of project. And you can ask me where the design thinking method can be used in this journey. So here is the place where design thinking can be used. So in this third step, defining the scenarios, this is the place where we can have design thinking workshop, where we are asking people from different departments for this workshop, for our workshop, where we are defining together how to develop Microsoft Teams environment internally. So you can use this design thinking also with the projects which are already new ones. So company just decided to implement Office 365 and Microsoft Teams, and they have no clue about the tools. But also you can use this when you already have teams in your organization, but anyhow, the users, they feel that there is a mess in our environment. We are building a lot of teams. We feel lost. We would like to add something inside, but we are not sure what kind of applications should be added or how to build these applications, which of them will bring the value, which not. So design thinking, it's a great tool in this process, no matter if we already start the journey or if we have a working environment. All right, so right now, so how to use, because I'm talking about the design thinking, but I haven't said how to use, right? So how to use this design thinking method in this kind of projects. And right now, I will show you step by step how to prepare this kind of workshop. So what should be prepared at the beginning, then how to lead this kind of workshop and what are the results. I'm basing on my experience with the customers. So the screenshots you will see or the environment you will see, this is a kind of production environment that was used by me in the past projects. All right, so before we start design thinking workshop, we need to remember that there are two ways to make it. So unfortunately, right now, on-site workshops are not possible. However, if Corona times will end one day, you can do it, of course, on-site. You should prepare a dedicated room, different color sticky notes, markers, and paper whiteboards. And when we are doing this on online version, so this is what I'm doing this right now. First of all, we need to have Teams environment. So it depends if you are doing for your company or for a client company. It's good to have an access to it. And then we create dedicated team with channels where we invite all of the workshop participants. We also need to have Microsoft Planner and OneNote. You will see in a while how to use these different applications to make this workshop happen. All right, so before we start the workshop, no matter if we talk about on-site or online workshop, employees should come from different departments and they should represent different positions in the company. This is about sharing the knowledge and showing the different perspectives. The maximum number of people in a group, it's about 20 people during on-site meeting, online 10 people. You know how it is with online meetings. And so less is better in this scenario because it's harder to control how the participants they behave, and also it's harder to make sure that they are engaged. Participants, they work in group, so maximum 5 persons in a group. The workshop duration is about 4 hours and 1 break in between. And I think that for online workshop, 4 hours, it's still a lot. However, there is a lot of work, and trust me that this 4 hours, maybe it sounds a little bit too long. It's not too bad because people, they are really engaged. And the last thing is, so 70% of the time participants work in a group. So let's assume that we are going to organize this kind of workshop right now, and I will show you step by step how to prepare everything and how each design thinking step should be organized. So first of all, as I mentioned, we have a dedicated team in Microsoft Teams. So here I have design thinking workshop. General channel is for my purpose, me as a moderator. I'm showing the agenda and all of the information that should be done during this workshop. And these two groups, they have 2 dedicated channels. I call them Team Stars, Team Heroes, but you can use the name you like. And when we move to the working channel for every group has its own channel meeting. So these people, where they work together, they join to this meeting room in a channel. And they also have dedicated tab for group work. It's a planner where they will be doing different exercises further. I'm using channel meetings. However, if you are a fan of breakout rooms, you can also replace this meeting room in a channel with the breakout room. So it's up to you. This is how I'm doing. However, there is not. I would say that it's up to you. All right, so I will show you right now. So here is my environment. So as you can see, I have a general part prepared before the workshop. They have agenda. I also added some files. So this is Teams one-pager. It was typical for the client who didn't have Teams before. I also used Wiki to write down all of the most important facts about this workshop. So who is in which group, general rules, so please switch on the camera and so on. Then I added the example board in Planner. So we have 4 different buckets, and we will be working one by one. So you will see in a while what kind of activities in every bucket will be done. And the last tab called ideas where is OneNote, and then here we will be creating the description of the scenarios we found out. All right, let me go back. I can also show you this. So as you saw on the slides, here are 2 groups. Each of them has its own planner and meeting inside. All right, so let's go back. So we are here right now, and we start design thinking. So first part, do you remember this empathize first stage? This is a very short part during our workshop, however, very, very important, especially to heat the participants up to the future brainstorming. And we can start with a few exercises. So first of all, first letter of my name, the participants introduce themselves by saying their name and role in the organization, and they are adding the adjective that describes them, starting with the first letter of their first name. The idea behind is just to activate people's brains, to heat them up a little bit, and also let them forget about the current tasks and things that they have to do. So it's very funny when they start thinking, how to describe myself. So we are activating and we are getting their attention to be ready for the next exercises. We also have another exercise, ego shower. Participants stand in a circle. One by one, they enter the center of the circle and say something trivial like, I ate my breakfast. And then they are getting the very, very tremendous applause and cheer with the enthusiasm. So again, we are building kind of relaxing atmosphere and also help them to integrate better before the upcoming exercises. All right, and then we smoothly move to the next stage of design thinking, define. This is how you work from home, and you can't predict that somebody will be doing some additional work. Sorry about that. All right, we're in the defining problems and current challenges. I just ask my host if it's really annoying when this guy is doing something, or I can continue. You can hear me, or not too bad. Not too bad. All right, so hopefully we will survive. All right, we are defining the problems and current challenges. In this stage, the idea is to ask the groups to work together and define as many as possible problems they are facing every day. So different problems, like we have a problem with communication, we have to log into different systems, and so on and so on. So they have 10 minutes for this exercise, and they have to define as many as possible problems. On the previous slide, you saw how it is when there is an on-site meeting. When we have online meeting, we are using Planner for that, and all the problems will land in this bucket problem. So many of them, they just generate the problems. They can be really, really different. If something is related, like, oh, our office kitchen is too small, it's not an issue. Just let them talk, just let them express themselves. And since we have these problems generated by every group, we need to group these problems by type. So for that, we are using labels. And right now, people, they should group the problems by type. So we have here different types of problems. Very often, the problems are listed like communication, document management, many IT platforms, and so on. And thanks to that, we have kind of bigger picture what are the problem types we listed before. And then when we have these problems and labels, we can narrow the problems that can be solved by Microsoft Teams on your current Teams knowledge and experience. So it means that we ask people, do you think that Teams can help you with that? No matter if you have big knowledge about Teams or not, just make sure that we are just leaving these problems which are not able to be solved by Teams, at least not now. I hope that Maybe one day also the small kitchen will be solved by Teams, but currently it's not possible. Just moving all of the problems that can be solved by the technology to the key problems bucket. All right. And then we have open discussion. So every group is talking about the problems. They were listed quite often. It's visible that the problems more or less are same. So no matter what is our position, no matter from which department we are coming from, anyhow, these problems are more or less similar. And after this part, we are having a break. And when the break is done, there is a moderator, so my part. When I present Microsoft Teams capabilities in a very, very wow effect way, this is a 20, 30-minute inspiration session where you can show different great features or different applications that can be implemented inside Teams. So very often we are showing bots, custom applications, workflows, third-party solutions integration, custom solutions integrations. The idea behind is just to inspire the participants and show them how powerful platform Teams can be. And then we are moving smoothly to the third step of design thinking process, ideate. In ideate stage, we are brainstorming the solutions. So we already have problems. We already had a chance to see how powerful Teams can be. And based on that, we start to think how to use this platform inside, how to make it better if we already have it, how to organize the work, and how to solve the current problems and challenges. And this is amazing, I would say, because suddenly the end users, they start to generate a lot of different ideas. Whoa, we can have a bot, we can have a custom application, we can have something specific. So this is great to see how people are, how easily people are able to write down all of these ideas. So every group, again, its own bucket, ideas, and then generating idea one by one. And since we have all of these ideas, then it's a challenging part because I ask the participants, so every group, to choose the best two ideas. It's not very easy for many of them because, as I said, they have a lot of great ideas. But in here, I want to ask them, all right, so we have a lot of ideas, but which of them are crucial? Which of them are the most important to be implemented in Teams? In this example, you can see we have onboarding process in Teams dedicated for HR and internal communication based on Teams only. So this customer has mails and different platforms not allowed by the IT for everyday communication. And in here, they agreed that, all right, this internal communication based on Teams should be the best way to make it. And so since we have two groups, we have 4 different scenarios. And then to understand what exactly we mean by saying onboarding or bot for IT tickets, we are going to extend these ideas in a kind of graphical representation. So in the next step, I am talking with my participants. Could you please tell me exactly what do you mean by onboarding process? So, and then we have kind of discussion that, yeah, onboarding process from new employee perspective, new employees should have an access to materials, to the videos, to different policies, and so on. Maybe bot assistant for end user survey, and so on. Maybe a kind of final exam if she or he reads all of the content to make sure that she or he knows exactly how our company works. And also HR team, what kind of solutions should be included in this onboarding process inside Teams to make sure that we are having everything in one place. On site, so mostly notes on paper, but not very often, and online version, so typically OneNote space where we write down all of the scenarios. So as you can see, Q&A bot, integrating tools with Teams, Teams meetings, onboarding, and so on. All right. So we already defined the problems, we ideate the solutions. We also had a deep conversation about what these solutions should have inside. Now it's time for prototyping. Prototyping, so the fourth step of design thinking approach. As you remember, we were taking all of the ideas. We were writing down the notes. Now it's time to summarize the workshop and propose the technical solution. And this part, it's a part where we don't work with the participants of our workshop. It's me as a moderator or Office 365 consultant who is preparing this summary. So since I have notes, I'm going to prepare kind of table with general information, what we found out. As you can see, integration with IT services. So the idea behind is to write down the concept. So what's the value behind, how this, in general, this solution will look in the future? What are the user benefits and business benefits? These two stages are, these two parts are important because then in adoption project, you are going to communicate the end users why we are doing something, what is the value behind, and so on. Here you already prepared kind of content that can be reused in the future communication. And of course, at the end, the technology. So what kind of solutions we are going to use. In here, of course, Teams, websites embedded in Teams and Teams Workhub. By the way, I really recommend Teams Workhub application, very useful one to grab all of the services in one place. And we also have here onboarding bot. So again, the same concept, user benefits, business benefits, and the technology. And then when I collect all of the scenarios, so in my practice 4 scenarios, I'm sending the scenarios to the participants to get the confirmation that, yeah, this is something what we understood, this is something what we agreed, we are ready to go. So then when it's confirmed, we start to build something what is real. So this is a transformation, the business scenarios we listed before to Microsoft Teams environment. So right now we're building something what really works. And as you can see on the screenshot, we are having onboarding. There are different tabs, different content inside already created. Or here we have also another example. This is an example for first-line workers who are using only mobile devices with Teams. And they wanted to have in one place possibility to join different services they're using currently. So again, transformation, the scenarios to Microsoft Teams environment, so you can prepare or ready-to-go solution like a demo or mockups, or also prepare client or your organization, in your organization environment, this kind of space where all the participants are able to meet and click and check if it's done or not. And then, of course, we are polishing and polishing and polishing the solution to make sure that it's done correctly. So this is this testing part. So right now we are giving the solution to the participants, and first of all, they have a chance to test the solution. They have a chance to give the feedback. We have a chance as a consultants to polish the solution and then prepare the training materials based on that, if we agreed that the solution we prepared is done correctly. All right, so I hope that it's clear. So what is the value behind, what is the value of this approach? So first of all, engagement. When we use design thinking method to define the business scenarios, we build in the same time engagement. Employees, they have a chance to talk with you. They have a chance to share what is really needed, what are their challenges, what are their expectations, and they have a right to talk openly what should be implemented and what should be improved. Then we have real life cases. So we solve the true business problems, not suggested ones. We are able to define which of them are the most important, which of them are less important, but also get kind of inspiration from all of the ideas we listed in the third step of design thinking method for the future. And the last part is training part. So since we have demo, or since we have ready to go solution, this is a great base for preparing the environment for next adoption and change teams journey activities. So if we prepare train the trainer training, or train the trainer materials, or one pagers or handbooks and so on, we can use these scenarios we already prepared. And of course, when you are doing the trainings for the end users, you don't show the end users empty teams or empty slides. You can use these scenarios, this environment, which is already built up thanks to design thinking method. All right, so I believe that this is it, and I promise to leave a space for questions. So do we have any questions? No questions. No questions. Let's see if something appears. Yeah, but this is something what I've noticed, that especially right now, when Corona has started, and a lot of companies, they decided to implement teams without special analyze before, without any special concept before. And right now there is a big pain that actually we have teams, but everything is messed up. We create a lot of teams. We don't know how to navigate. We don't know how to integrate teams with different services and so on. And more often, this kind of design thinking workshops are very great to clean up the space and to understand what actually we should do to improve the current environment, but also how to develop this application internally in our organization. So, yeah. So if there are no questions, I believe that we can close a little bit earlier, or if something arises.